Children are our greatest teachers. We say this a lot, and you may be out there going, rubbish, what could they possibly mean? How could that be? Does that mean I'm sitting down in front of a blackboard and they're teaching me things every day? So today we're going to share a story with you, and I'm going to continually ask Ilka lots and lots of questions so that we can get clear on why we say that children are our greatest teachers.
So I'm going to start with a story because I think that using this story will help illustrate the point. So say you're a mum and there's two boys in front of you and they're having a big rough and tumble, and you're watching it and you're thinking, oh yeah, they're okay, but then all of a sudden you start to feel a bit squirmy in the tummy and things, you're starting to get a bit worried about someone being hurt. And even though they're still laughing and they still look like they're having fun, there's something inside of you that has this rising fear, and you're starting to get really scared. And then all of a sudden you hear anger coming out of your mouth, and all of a sudden you're yelling at the boys in quite a loud, ferocious tone to stop doing that, and you almost don't even know where it came from. And the boys kind of look up at you, and they're still like, what mum, what, we're playing, we're having fun. And the thing is, do you want to ask me about that?
Yeah. Well, I think
how are they your teachers in this moment?
Yes, and because a number of people mums, parents could react. You could have 10 parents reacting very differently to that happening. So
yes.
So true. Why is it that in this instance this mum is
responding that way?
Yes, and feelings are coming up inside her.
Yeah, and how can this moment be an opportunity for her to be taught by her children? It's really being taught something about yourself. And the thing is that as the scenario, this is a great scenario because really the kids are not in danger. They're actually having fun. They're actually really just playing, and it's all happening inside the mum, which is usually the case in nearly every scenario, unless somebody is in actual imminent danger. And of course then we need to do something. But if not, it's an opportunity for you to start to notice. Now this is a big thing, to even start to notice that you're actually having an emotion here, because often it's out of you, and what we say the subconscious has found all the references from your past. Now in this particular mum's case, she had a sibling that used to pin her down and typewriter on top of her a lot, and she was in a lot of situations where she felt a lot of pain and distress and discomfort from somebody holding her down. And so her amygdala had gone, a part of her brain had gone and found all of the times in her past when that had happened to her. She started getting very distressed because she thought her brain was telling her that might be happening to her child, and it's not a fun situation. And so that was actually what was happening in the moment. Now, if she'd been able to use the processes that we teach and we show people how to use in their life in our Awakened Parent program, she could have started to notice what was going on inside of her, and then applied the process to remain calm.
So you're saying that something happens. I'm an adult today, and I see something going on with my children.
Yes.
And this, because of the way that I'm feeling inside, this relates back to when I was a child?
Yes, especially if it kind of, when you look back on it and you think logically everything was okay. I was actually the one that was in distress. I was actually the one that was really responsible for the whole, you're always responsible for the feeling state that's going on in your own body. But there just doesn't seem to be a reason for it. And often that's because the reasons for it are deeply hidden within our own subconscious. And that's why we react in the way that we do. So our children give us an opportunity to, and this is what we do with people in our course. Every week we do sessions where we have an opportunity to go and see where is this coming from? Where is this actually coming from? And not only that, but to clear the emotional charge that continues to come up because of these experiences and because of the fear that's in the subconscious, and clear it forever, so that the next time that this happens, you will notice a lot less charge, and sometimes even none. So you keep doing the process until it actually disappears. Now, sometimes this can take a few months, because if you've had lots and lots of things happen to you as a child where you were trapped, and siblings were always hurting you and holding you down and do it like that, it can take a while to clear it. But every time you do the process, it clears, and so eventually you can remain totally calm in the presence of something like that going on in front of you. And it will seem like, wow, how did that even happen? Because it's almost like you don't know it's possible, because you're holding all of this stuff inside of you that keeps you in this feeling of not being in control.
So when parents come to you on the calls, so they're not necessarily coming with huge traumatic things that have happened in their lives. Someone can turn up and say, well, I got stressed when the kids wouldn't get ready for school,
yes,
or they wouldn't eat their
case.
veggies, or they wouldn't come to the table. Is it
Yes.
things like that seem as simple as this?
Yes, it is definitely lots of things like that seem simple. Like even just getting your children, like the bedtime routine, things like that. You becoming stressed around the bedtime routine, or whenever you're becoming stressed in any moment. Like another great example is when a parent I worked with was having trouble with her children going off to school, and when I asked her about this, we addressed that her going to school experiences, she'd moved schools about 6 times, and nearly every time she'd been, and her child was just starting school, so she had all of these memories about embarrassment and shame, turning up to school, turning up to new schools, people looking at her. She felt like she was a very shy person. So it really was a big bother to her. So this was all coming up for her when her child was in front of her, being her teacher, saying, "Mum, look at your own emotions. Look at what's going on for you." And then she came and we did the process of Faster EFT is the process that I use, which is an absolutely brilliant process for collapsing these patterns, totally collapsing these patterns. So the next time when she's going to get her child off to school, she's able to remain calm. She's able to be a totally different person. Not a person she wouldn't have even known she could be before we did the clearing process.
So is it the case that these memories for us are hidden deep in the subconscious, and we wouldn't even know that there was something to clear up if we didn't have our kids driving us crazy?
Yeah, pretty much. Or anybody in your life that something happens where you feel like, why did I just feel like that? Like there kind of doesn't seem to be a reason for it. Or you're just driving along and you suddenly feel anxious, or any of these kinds of experiences. What we help parents to do is to use these as opportunities to go inside, acknowledge what's going on for you, and you get better and better at doing this as you practice it. But in our culture, it is very, very counterintuitive. Most of it, what we do is counterintuitive. In our culture, we're taught just, take a pill, go shopping, eat something, what else? Anything, but actually go inside and address your own emotions. So
yeah, avoid the feeling. I've been excellent at that myself, being I used thinking to avoid feeling for many, many years.
Yeah, so trying to work out reasons, and it must be this and it must be that. So and then doing that for days on end. Yeah, I was good at that one too.
So can you get, if you're courageous enough to go to the feeling, tell us what that looks like and what the other side, like why not go there then?
Yeah, well, it's just that we're just not trained to do, this is not something, I mean, it is coming into schools a little bit more. I hear now that kids are learning mindfulness and they're learning more about this. But we really, the generation, 2 generations back, the children are seen and not heard. Our emotions are seen and not heard. So none of us are very good at addressing our emotional state. It's just not something we do in our culture. In fact, we avoid it at all costs, really, most of the time. So it's just it's a matter of understanding how beneficial it is. Like, this is life-changing, life-transforming stuff. It gets you to freedom, true freedom, the freedom that people actually always go, oh, I want to be free. Well, the only freedom that you can really get in your life is through your own emotional state. It's and it is an amazing experience to get to the other side, but it takes doing this practice of going into your emotions, acknowledging your emotions. We call it aiming at the emotion, or aiming at how you know that something bothers you. And then I use a tapping technique, which is really, really powerful.
For example, if we could go back to the initial scenario with the boys, and so this mother would come to you and let you know that yes, she was feeling angry at the boys. It was the boys doing this to her.
That's normally what they say. Yeah.
So how do you help her to know when you say, how do you know that that's bothering you? How do you help her become aware of that?
That is a very good question. And a great question to ask yourself is, what is going on inside of me? Right? So then when you ask yourself that question, you can, start to acknowledge what's going on. So you might say, oh, I felt a bit squirmy in the tummy. I could feel something coming up into my throat. I could feel my head starting to ache a little bit. Just before I yelled at the boys, that's what was going on.
My heart racing, my blood boiling. That's what it was for me. Yeah.
Yes. So, and maybe the first even 10, 20, 30 times that this happens, and you even understand this knowledge on a logical level, your brain is so used to reacting, and you will go to reacting, but you will notice that you did that. And that is a massive step forward, because most of us are not even noticing that we do this behavior. So never beat yourself up for the fact that you didn't catch it. It's always good to be able to just notice that you did it, even in hindsight, because that is a massive step forward. You've got to understand that most people have already gone shopping by now. They've already had a drink of alcohol by now. Like, they're trying to suppress their emotion. So if you're acknowledging any emotion, then this is a massive step forward. No matter when you start to be able to do this. Now,
but that works, doesn't it? Like going shopping, drinking alcohol, exercising to extremes, sex.
All in the short term. They're great short-term fixes. But obviously, as we know from most of you know that are watching this, from people around you, that usually they keep doing it over and over and over again, and it becomes something that's not as easy to change. But until you start doing this process, this is really the only way to change it. So in that situation, eventually the mum will get better at noticing that feeling in her tummy. She'll start to notice it straight, like after she's maybe done it 30 times where she missed it, she will then go, oh, here it is, I'm about to yell at my kids again. And I teach people a really simple tapping process where they can just start to tap and say to themselves, really acknowledge the feeling, and just say to themselves to release it out of the body. And we won't go into all of that today, because there's a lot to learn in that. But you can even on our Awakened Parents site, there's some videos about tapping and how you can use that in your life. But the important thing we want to get across in this video is that it's about starting to acknowledge your emotions and how transformative that can be, and how it's really the only true way to true transformation in your life. And this is what your children are so incredible at showing you. They're brilliant at it.
They are. Even when we look at young kids, and we see them playing joyously, and they're not in a rush for me because I've got to get somewhere, and just that playing joyously can trigger us.
Oh, definitely. Especially if you had a parent who wasn't very good at, who was always busy and always rushing and always you'll find yourself maybe doing that same program just like your parents did it to you. So yeah, we can often get triggered by a child who's being joyful. I certainly have experienced that myself. By the way, everything that Joe and I wrote on this video, we have done all of this, all of these behaviours. Like this is not a magic pill. What we teach in our courses is not a magic pill. It takes practice, it takes diligence, it takes discipline even. I hate that word, but discipline every day. But every time you do it, it's incredibly freeing. And it's the path to true freedom. It means that the next time that your child is doing that in front of you, you can remain calm, and it will seem like a miracle has just occurred in your life.
It does. It's like little miracles.
Yeah.
And yes, like Ilka said, what we always put in our texts and what we speak of comes from personal experience. So
yes,
if you choose to come and work with us, there is no judgment, because it's very, very likely that what you're experiencing, we have both been a part of too.
Many times.
Yes.
And yes, you're starting to acknowledge your emotions. A true way to transformation. Yes, it certainly is.
Yes, it is.
It certainly is.
Yes. So start noticing, becoming a genius noticer of what's going on with the kids, and that it's not them, what's going on inside me.
Yeah. So I hope that everyone, I trust that everyone now understands this phrase, children are your greatest teachers. We don't mean that you should sit them down and put a blackboard up in front of them. Oh, it's coming through my mouth. Yes. How many times I've heard my father's voice or the same words of my mum. My mum is actually watching this video. Hello, Mum.
Hello, Annette.
So I know that she was absolutely amazing mum, but yes, I did sometimes hear that her words coming out of my mouth.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thanks, Crystal. Yeah. And that is a huge thing too. Sometimes I know for me, I needed a good friend to tell me about my behaviour, rather than, we go into these patterns and we don't even recognise ourselves. So for you to even hear your own mother's words coming through your mouth is a huge step in the right direction.
Yes.
Genius noticer, yay.
Yeah, this is a huge thing. That's why I always say to mums, even to start the process of noticing that is massive. So congratulations, happy dance for that one.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yay. Yes. They are the mirror of our triggers.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Love it.
Thank you for being here with us. And we look forward to sharing more with you next Wednesday and explaining some of the phrases that we just say like they're so easy to understand, because we do now. However, if someone had said them to us 5 or so years ago, we wouldn't have known what they were on about.
Yes. My mum's just written tap. Go, Mum. Oh, I love it. My mum's a tapper as well. It's great for everybody. It's fantastic. So,
or for everybody who wants to live a more joyous life.
Yes. Be free.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Love it. All right.
Have a wonderful week.